Hi, it's All Action No Plot talking all things Tottenham Hotspur, and after Spurs beat Brighton last night, I'm looking at the story of the match, the moment of the match, and the standout performer of the match. First of all, the story of the match, which I thought was the Tottenham tactics. We started with Llorente on his own up front, Son and Lucas out wide, and I don't just mean out wide, I mean hugging the touchlines. It didn't work, which is fair enough, because Pochettino had to try something from the outset. But having both Son and Lucas so far out wide just didn't work. And when I say it didn't work, I don't just mean we weren't scoring bucket loads of goals. I mean neither man was ever really beating their defenders. They weren't particularly causing too many problems for Brighton. They weren't creating chance after chance. It just didn't work, which is fine. Pochettino's options were limited. Just look at the bench. We had Vincent Janssen on the bench for the first time since the Dark Ages. It wasn't working though, and after half an hour this was evident. Certainly by half time it wasn't evident. What irked me was the fact that Pochettino just didn't change it. He did pace up and down on the touchline, looking suitably concerned, which was fine, but he didn't make a change, other than at one point I think swapping Sonny and Lucas. Llorente didn't get a sniff of the ball. He was very isolated on his own in the centre. And ultimately, when we did score, it wasn't anything to do with any tactical nuances. It was from a long shot. Yes, there were limited options as to what Pochettino could have done, but maybe, I don't know, switch to a diamond in midfield with two up front. I should point out that I say this as a man who, from the comfort of my vantage point on the sidelines, has never once made a tactical mistake. Moment of the match was undoubtedly Eriksen's winner. It's always very pleasing to score in the last minute of the game. The tension was rising, the stress was increasing, and ultimately we all went home in pretty buoyant mood, which was nice. So much preferable to scoring an early goal and just letting the game peter out. That said, not about to lavish too much praise upon Eriksen. I think the chap's been a bit below par. In recent weeks, his passing has been astray often, and however, yesterday he returned to form a little bit, I thought. In the second half in particular, when everybody else ran out of ideas, they simply gave the ball to Eriksen. And you could see the cogs whirring as he tried to pick a good pass. He was having more and more shots on goal, and gradually they got closer until he hit the jackpot. And thirdly, the standout performer of the game. Well, as I said, Eriksen improved during the second half, but I thought the standout performer was Danny Rose. Right from the start, he was just the angriest man in Britain. He took to the pitch in an absolutely foul mood and took it out on all the Brighton players. It was fantastic to watch. I love how aggressive he is. He reminds me in a sense of Benny Asuakoto and Carl Walker back in the day, in that neither of them either would like to lose their personal duels across the pitch. Danny Rose is similar. He hates losing those personal battles. And if the whole team had that attitude, arguably we wouldn't always necessarily finish the game with 11 men, but we would be a darn sight better, I think, for it. If you look across the team, players like Son and Eriksen, they're not really that aggressive. You get the impression if they lose, they're going to shrug their shoulders and trudge off. Similarly, even my best mate Jan and Toby Alderweireld are not really massively aggressive, whereas Danny Rose hates losing. Nominally a left back, Danny Rose took it upon himself to wander into central midfield as and when he pleased, as is now his wont, and he does a decent enough job there. He's one of the few players who will drive forward and take people on. Second half, he was a bit more tactically disciplined. He stayed out on the left a bit more, but nevertheless, I make him the man of the match from yesterday. Let me know what you think, particularly if you disagree. Stick a comment below. Do check out the blog allactionnoplot.com, and All Action No Plot is now on Twitter as well, as is indicated on the screen, so do react appropriately.